Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat for the week of April 2nd, 2015. I am your host, Jose Otero, and I'm joined once again by Brian Altano and Per Schneider.
Guten Morgen.
And let's get straight down to business, gentlemen. First thing I want to talk about before we get into the Nintendo Direct is, in fact, the Zelda delay, which was a punch to my gut on Friday. It was absolutely a punch to my gut.
Was it like a steak dinner sized punch to your gut?
It's one steak bet for anyone interested. There is one person who will not be named who I was brave enough to take the steak bet with because I thought what he was saying was absolutely ridiculous, and it was delayed for different reasons than what he was saying.
Yep.
But regardless, I'm in the hole, one steak. It's fine. However, let's just go to it. So Friday, Nintendo drops a video where Aonuma begins with, "We're sorry, but we've made some discoveries since 3 months ago when we said that we were going to have this game out in 2015, and we don't want to make that our target to make an inferior game," was basically what he said. I understand that he never used the word delay. The press release will say delay before an Aonuma says delay.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that.
So it happened. I'm devastated by this. I know plenty of people are. No one wants a bad Zelda. I get it. No one wants that rush to market. I get that too. But I wanted to believe them. I did. They were so confident about it.
They were. This was the first time, like, when we first heard about Zelda and the release this year, you remember our discussions on NVC. Some of us may have said, no way, it's going to get delayed till next year.
Some of us have lived through all of the delays.
Yeah, and then by the way, I went back and I looked at every single console game since the N64 days, and it happened with every single one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Every one got delayed till the next year, and the statement usually was, as we're developing the game, we realize there's so much potential. We want to make sure we get this right, and so sorry, we're going to move it, right? Like, it's been the same story, but they were so confident in the Direct.
They said it during the Game Awards. They said it on Miyamoto's little YouTube tour. Like, I was like, I believe you. I want to trust you.
Yep.
I don't trust you anymore.
Yep. And like some people are pretty cynical about it and say they should just tell you from the beginning. I think they believe themselves, right? Like, they start building this game, and then, you know, with this game, this is the first time that they build a really large overworld like that, and that takes a lot of play testing. But you know, if you remember our feedback too, we felt like it was a little empty. Like what we saw in the demo, we were worried that you'd be doing a lot of riding through an empty landscape, and I think Twilight Princess already had some of those issues.
You've made the point in the past that Zelda games are extremely polished.
Yeah.
Like, that is something that every Zelda, for the most part, is, right?
Yep.
Very polished, very thought out, very well meticulously designed. So it takes time to make those things.
And the way other big open world games deal with that kind of that expanse and that living world is to create either leveling systems where, like, you're rewarded for repeat combat with enemies, or a new kind of like little side quests that pop up during certain times that you discover. Like Majora's Mask had those in a more limited fashion. So I think they ran into that and they said, we need to put more stuff into this world to make it interesting. That's fine. Look, I'd rather have the right game a little bit later. The only thing that's not fine is where that leaves their lineup for the rest of the year.
So Brian,
we don't know yet.
I wanted to say I think this is 100% an Amiibo manufacturer. All
right.
No, I'm kidding.
So, wait, do you have anything else you want to say before I ask you a question?
So, like, Per and I did a conversation about this in IGN immediately after this happened. Where obviously the wound was still kind of sore.
It's still fresh. I don't want to hear it.
But I do feel like my issue with it is more like what you guys were alluding to, that I kind of wish we didn't ever think that it was going to happen. Had they just said, we're working on a new Zelda, then I would have been like, great, take your time. But to be like 2016 or 2015, it's happening, and then it's not, that's where it hurts. So I would rather, and I say this for every game, like, don't show me it, don't tell me about it until you're ready, and then don't tell me it's coming out until it's ready to come out. And I understand things get delayed. I have no concept how video games are made.
And they've done that before sometimes too. A Link Between Worlds was like, hey, Spring Direct, by the way, we're making a Zelda Link Between Worlds, and by the way, you can play it right now. And people got to play it that day.
The reality is, when this game comes out, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. It's going to be one of my favorite games of all time, I'm sure. So I'm not super angry about it anymore. Yeah. I'm sort of just like, when we get it, we'll get it, and it'll be awesome.
From a marketing perspective, 2016 works in their favor because it is the 30th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda in Japan. It came out on the Famicom in 1986 over there. Just like Mario's 30th is this year, although who knows what they're going to do with that. Is Mario Maker the only thing? But we're going to get to that. But the question for you, what the heck replaces Zelda at E3? I'm just, like, to me, the biggest horse in this race, the biggest thing that they had, the thing that 30 seconds of footage made everyone go crazy last
Yeah.
E3, and that needs time to be made. I get it. I'm not trying to sound unreasonable.
Yep.
But that is no longer part of 2015 lineup anymore.
It's not even part of E3, and that's what hurt.
That
honestly.
hurt even more.
Like, that's one thing. It's one thing to say you're not playing this game this year, and I'm like, damn, that hurts. But to be like, it's not going to be at E3. Like, E3 as a Nintendo fan is about that magic of when Reggie goes, but wait, we've got one more thing, and it's always like that. And it's like, then you see, or Miyamoto comes out with a shield. It's all I need. It's something like that. But instead, it's like, we won't be there. That won't be there specifically.
But then it may be at Gamescom then shortly afterwards, or focused on next year, or maybe at a Nintendo Direct, right, where they're showing games that are farther out. Like,
yeah.
I appreciate their focus with E3 on games that are coming out this year, but I will appreciate less if there isn't anything kind of sizable.
But wait
to
a minute. You don't show Zelda at a Direct. You don't, like, all the attention of the video game
right?
world.
They will.
All the attention of the video game world is at E3. Like, it still is. That traditional part of the video games business still exists. I don't care how many online presentations
I understand that, but to play devil's advocate, like, Nintendo has moved away from that over the years. Like, when we get like 4 or 5 Directs a year, those are all to lessen the fact that their E3 presentation is not what it used to be. It's a smaller, more intimate thing. It's a controlled thing. It's not in front of a live audience anymore. They do 3 days of Treehouse Live where they're playing games. Like, that messaging, instead of sort of apexing in one spot throughout the year, is now all these little spikes.
Sure, but look at, like, we're going to get into yesterday's Direct and talk about certain things that they showed, but look at how Directs sort of play out. They either start strong, they end strong, and then in between, you're either snoozing or you're enjoying one or two things that get announced.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I feel like at E3 they bring the thunder. They brought the thunder in the past. They still bring it in their digital presentations. They save their best stuff for E3.
So then, I mean, if you look at Nintendo historically, then you're right that this is a game of numbers, right? You get rid of Zelda, you either have a big 3D Mario, or you have some big blowout with Star Fox, which
some secret,
but which doesn't have the same impact, Or maybe there's a new 3DS Zelda, like maybe there's more.
Well, I think to the E3 crowd, a new Mario game, more in the vein of Galaxy, would have that impact, or a new Metroid game in the vein of Prime. But like, I find it hard to believe that, if they're focusing on 2015, that they'd be able to announce that at E3 and say, by the way, it's coming out later this year.
But they've done that in the past. No,
but
Mario
not with
3D
a
World,
mega.
But Mario 3D World was that game.
But that's a smaller Mario game.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
like, that game, that was the best co-op Mario yet. Like, it's not on the scale of Galaxy.
It's a
not
good game,
on
but it's not a Galaxy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's not like, you don't go to E3 and go, new Super Mario Brothers. Like, that's not the same impact.
No,
like, it has to be like something much bigger than that, or something that can stand toe to toe with that.
You say that, but it's happened in the past where we got Pac-Man.
Yeah, but
Pac-Man
those are dark days.
Okay,
GameCube era.
but
let's talk about that.
No, but I would argue right now right now there are dark days because Nintendo has to support 2 platforms at the same time, has a new initiative kicked off for PC and mobile, right? Like, the same development studios are getting split a little thin, I'd say.
Yeah.
And their big flagship title needs more work, right?
Mobile games don't need that many people working on them.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
But it's just one more thing to do.
Depends.
Yeah.
Team size varies, but the big console games need bigger teams.
Sure,
what I'm
Flappy
saying,
Bird was
Jose,
made by one guy.
What I'm saying, Jose, don't get your hopes up for like a Mario-sized reveal at E3. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
I think the big focus at E3 will be Star Fox.
And I
They're
agree
gonna
with you,
try
and-
to make that into the biggest game. they
And
have.
that better be one hell of a game.
And then there'll be like a new Smash Brothers character based on user
Jose,
votes, that kind of stuff.
If
go ahead.
their plan was to have Zelda at E3 and to have Zelda come out this year, that was their big plan. That's not happening. The ceasing of that doesn't mean that they're suddenly going to materialize some Nintendo fanboy dream.
I'm not
I would
saying
love
that. Oh, no, and I don't want to sound like an unreasonable fan. All I'm saying is that right now, where Wii U's future was worrisome, it's especially troubling. Like what we're going to see come out of E3. Like, I really want to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
And I hope that it is some surprises. Nothing will replace Zelda. Let's be fair. Everyone who's listening to this knows that, and if you don't know that, get with it, bro. Like, or sis, whoever you are, like that. At the end of the day, like, nothing's gonna replace that game, and I completely have come to terms with that. But I can't help but be concerned for what is going to be the big tentpole thing that is going to attract new people to the
100%.
platform. You're not going to bring
100%.
anything, or I shouldn't say that. Let's see what you bring.
I think
That's
they'll
not
have
fair.
a couple of interesting projects, and like if you look at the Nintendo Direct, I mean, there's some very Japanese, very strange projects on the way, coming out next year,
Yeah.
that are already being teased. I got to think that there is some interesting software left for the US coming out this year that they haven't announced yet.
Yeah.
But I do think it'll be mostly about Star Fox, and I'm confident that game's going to look really, really cool.
Yeah, same.
And then there'll be a couple of smaller titles, maybe branded titles, focus on kind of like the Street Pass games,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
Yep. All right, so last thing, cynically going around the internet, the illusion that history will repeat itself and that Zelda can end up an NX game.
Yeah.
To me, it's too soon to make that call.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I understand, like, the easy call to make was Zelda was going to get delayed. I have come to terms with it. You've just listened to 10 minutes of us, roughly 10 minutes of us complaining about that fact.
Yeah.
But I do not for 1 second invest immediately in the hope that it's an NX game. I think whatever it ends up to be, let's see how next year turns out. Do they take advantage of that marketing opportunity and say, hey, it's 30th anniversary of Zelda, let's ship this thing on time to take advantage of that? It depends. Because for them, it's more about, is the game done? It's not about, will this market better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We know that.
Like, I mean, when you look at what the Zelda game is, it is absolutely a game that could easily transfer to the next platform, right? Like, it's not that you need the Wii U setup for this game to work.
What about that
right?
second
Like,
screen,
it
though?
was-
What about that map? What about all that
yeah,
zooming?
No. But you don't really need that. Well, NX is going to use the 3DS as a second screen, so it'll be fine.
Sure.
Or the 1DS.
Hang on,
that's
I'm
coming
going to
out.
go invest.
No, but I feel like, technically, sure, it could happen. We don't know what's going to happen in development, but it feels too early. Like, I don't think that game's going to move to NX. I don't think you're going to see all that much on NX. I don't think you're going to see anything on it this year.
It's actually
Well, you're
moving
not.
exclusively
They've
to Android phones.
And on that note, it is time
kidding.
to talk about Nintendo Direct, which happened yesterday. A lot of stuff to talk about. I guess I should start out with, though, your general impressions. What is the thing that came out of this that you were most excited about? Let's start with the most exciting thing and then the most disappointing thing. Most exciting thing out of this
they're
Direct.
both the same thing.
So-
I think.
Are they?
Yes.
I
Really?
think there's
Amiibo.
I think there's.
Oh,
wait,
really?
Oh,
Yes,
well,
because
that's
they
one
say it's
that goes
happening,
across
and you
both.
go, "Great, I'm losing hair."
let me check.
Yeah, there we go. It's all gone. Every new announcement they make about this is coupled with thousands of hours of headaches from all over the world. When they get out and they brag, they go, "Hey, we're gonna make some more retail exclusive ones.
Let me tell you,
We're
if it
burying
wanna-
a Game & Watch
Yeah,
underneath a Costco."
the
We're
minute
gonna-
that more retailer exclusive Amiibo coming, I'm just like,
So Grey Ninja is exclusive to Toys R Us. Jigglypuff is exclusive to Target.
Yeah.
And GameStop has who's GameStop have?
Ness.
Ness. Oh yeah.
My favorite.
And I
And
want
so, well, to be fair, GameStop is most equipped to deliver more, to deliver a good pre-order experience
Yeah.
compared to the other two where you guys recall we were told
What about
they don't
Toys
take
R Us?
pre-orders
Yeah.
for dolls, right?
What
Yeah.
about Toys R Us?
So
Where's their exclusive?
But yeah, that is to actually say that with any sense of like pride or anything on the Direct. Like,
Yeah.
that should be like they should have gone like, and by the way, we'll get some retail exclusive. Like
Yeah.
turning away from the camera, coughing.
It's horrible. And it's also like, I want to say, we've been talking about Amiibo a lot on this show. And
Oh,
I
yeah?
know a lot of people listen to the show and they just love Nintendo games and they don't care about Amiibo.
Uh-huh.
What yesterday's Direct solidified to me is that you kind of have to start caring about Amiibo in some capacity because Nintendo is putting them in everything. Almost everything they're working on will have Amiibo support in some capacity.
Let's break that down. I mean, we haven't.
we haven't. Before we do, I would only argue that they still have this uneasy positioning of Amiibo to me, where even though the figure part of it is very cool, the game portion of it has yet to prove to me that it is essential.
Sure.
That
Sure.
to me is the one thing that's worrisome. But let's break down what Amiibo announcements happened yesterday. So the first one being, let's see, I'm sorry, I'm slightly unprepared for this. Yoshi's Woolly World gets adorable yarn
Amiibos.
and they look like plush toys. The internet is in
They're
love
also
with them.
that made us collectively rethink the concept of what an Amiibo could be. Because now
Yeah.
it could be anything. It could be a
Yeah.
house with
Yeah.
a disc in the middle of it.
When they
Who
told
knows?
us that at E3, like they can do it in any shape or size,
Yeah.
right? Because it's
Cards,
just the
yeah.
sticker. They announced Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, which uses the card-based amiibo.
Yep.
They showed that Splatoon, a
Yep.
brand new franchise for them, is going to have a dedicated amiibo line. And the only way to
Super
get the
happy about
squid
that.
is the 3-pack.
Yep.
You're not getting it any other way. The
Yep.
boy and the girl are available separately. The squid you have to get, it's like the Disney Infinity model where the play token or
Yep.
one of the pieces in the 3-pack.
And
is
I think
exclusive.
that's okay. I mean, that's how toy marketing works, right? Like, you pay a little extra to get that one special thing. And, like, it shouldn't be for the completionist who wants all the amiibos, buying a 3-pack is not going to be a big deal unless it's exclusive to a retailer who's not in your
Stop
neighborhood.
it.
Or it's in short supply, and that's, of course,
There's
the
actually
worry.
they announced that there's one gas station in Detroit that
Yeah.
will carry all of.
Can we
this
just
stuff.
ban the word retailer exclusive like ever on the
Yes.
show ever?
A
Like,
a very cynical person on the NVC Amiibo group said that NES is exclusive to eBay, which is so amazingly
Nice word.
true.
That's awesome.
That is very true.
That's great.
So
well,
I-
eBay was actually they went head on with this stuff because
Yep.
they were tweeting that hey, you couldn't get blah 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 here and there, so we have it here. Gold Mario. They're like, Gold Mario sold out in seconds, not on eBay where it's 4 times the price. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I just want to say, of the 3 that they announced, the functionality that interests me the most, believe it or not, is Yoshi's Woolly World, which surprised me only because it seemed to be the double cherry power-up.
Yeah.
Is what it does. Like, you get a second Yoshi that you can, turn into an egg and throw at things, and then you control them both at the same time. Now, don't get me wrong. I
Right.
thought double cherry was one of my favorite things in 3D World. 3D World, for all the things that people like to crap on with 3D World, I felt like the power-up game was some of Nintendo's best new power-ups.
Right.
In years,
and it wasn't paywalled.
and it wasn't paywalled behind an amiibo thing. I like that concept, and the like we said earlier, the yarn made amiibo are
Yeah.
adorable. The card-based Animal Crossing game, I just don't know what that game is.
I don't either.
It feels
I'm
like to me like
confused.
that's not why I played Animal Crossing. And there are some people who love the home design portion
They
and
do.
the feng shui and all that.
did
and
wanna bring
so
that up, yeah.
That's what this leans into. It's more like a Tomodachi life, kind of like a snippet of your Animal Crossing
Yeah,
experience.
but why? I mean,
And so,
that experience
well,
is fully.
development time. It takes a long time to make a game like Animal Crossing with all the different events and all the bugs and everything you can
But
get.
most of those things, that criteria already exists in a game called Animal Crossing. Like, if I want
Yeah.
to organize furniture in a house, I can go do that. I know this one is task-based.
Yeah.
But it's like making a Mario mini game about jumping.
I will
It's like
say,
I
though,
can do
that-
that in the regular Mario games,
Yeah.
along
but-
with 100 other
But
things.
but think about it, like some people think it's a stupid idea, but an endless Mario jump and run game for mobile platforms, right?
Sure.
Like that to me is the equivalent of this game, where you're getting a slightly different experience from a full Animal Crossing game. We don't yet know how good it is
and
and
I
how
do-
addictive the kind of gameplay is with the cards.
Of course.
I want to
So-
make the point, though,
yeah.
that Animal Crossing as a series defies the conventions of what a traditional game is. They always have. And what they showed seems to fall in line with that, but it's something that I'm not entirely sure. I like the home design aspect of Animal Crossing. I'm someone who actually takes a lot of joy out of that. If you look at the house that I made in that game, it sort of mirrors a real house. I didn't go all
Yeah.
fantasy like some people do, and I love that it really communicates your personality, the
Yeah.
house that you make in that
Yeah.
game. So I think that it's really cool that a game is designed around that. What's not sitting well with me is that you're scanning in additional amiibo to just watch them hang out.
Yeah.
That's the point where I kind of check out a little bit, because I'm just like, okay, after I've made this really cool thing, you mean to tell me that I'm not really taking advantage of it? Like, this is how I take advantage of it? To me, that didn't 100% gel right with me. Now, let's be clear, though. This game doesn't come out until the fall, so there's plenty of time for them to say more
Sure.
things about it. But I will say that the initial reveal to me felt lame.
You're not in love with the concept. Yeah, and I get that.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't have a problem with the Yoshi Amiibo integration. I thought that's a cute little extra. It's clearly not core to the game, and the Amiibos look awesome.
Yeah,
I really
no.
love the concept of having ones that break out from the mold.
Yeah.
Well,
literally.
no, I hope it didn't sound like I'm down
Yeah.
on it, because I'm not. I
But-
just feel that it came from
The
somewhere else.
cards thing, I mean, first of all, the cards could be very cheap, right? We don't know yet,
Yeah.
like,
Well, here's
what that's
what
gonna
worried
sell
me
for.
about that. There's how many Animal Crossing villagers are there? Hundreds.
Ooh, did you
Yeah.
see
And
that
you
Wii
see
U application?
The numbering on some of these cards, one of them made no sense. It was 10 out of 4, which I don't know how the hell you get that. But there's going to be a lot of these cards, and we don't know if you're going to buy them in packs, if they're going to be random, if you're going to get doubles or triples and have to trade them with people.
If they're
Maybe.
exclusive to eBay?
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Some of them,
But
maybe.
but it could be like any trading card game.
I agree.
So where you buy a standard pack and a booster pack and all that kind of stuff. Like, we just don't know enough about that yet. In which case, this home application becomes a companion app to a card game, right?
Yeah.
So lots of questions about that one.
Yeah, so then Splatoon amiibo integration is that you touch an Inkling amiibo to get missions, and these special missions you unlock weapons and gear that you can only get through compatible amiibo, and they
Yeah,
showed a
so-
couple of outfits. Like there was a Shogun outfit. There was, but it's interesting because dedicating a specific amiibo line to me says Mario is not appearing in this game. None of your other amiibo are gonna, unless that's the next reveal that you scan in another amiibo you have and you get like a Mario T-shirt.
Yep.
Which, let's be fair, in a Nintendo franchise that could be cool. And that was the kind of expected thing. No, they said we're doing our own line for this.
Jose-
So you said you're happy about this line. Why?
I
For
think they
a new
look
IP,
cool.
for
I like.
them
I love.
to dive in like this.
Well, I'm happy that they're creating new IP. Are the characters' names really boy and girl?
Well,
Splatoon
because
boy and girl.
they're custom.
Yeah.
You're gonna design a custom German Per Schneider Inkling.
I know, but here's my issue with it. Like, I feel like it's one of those things where, you know, like if they had really given the Duck Hunt dog a name, 20 years ago, we'd all know it, and like
Yeah.
it'd be much more
So-
of a character. Now Smash Brothers elevated that character.
So
right?
like Robin in Fire Emblem.
yeah.
How Robin was the stock name for the character and
Totally.
it shows up in Fire
And
Emblem.
that still confuses me about Nintendo. They know character design and character promotion so well, and then they come out with these kind of generics. And I think that's a missed opportunity where they could have assigned names, and in 20 years these would be really memorable characters.
Or-
That said, I love the step of making them amiibos
Yeah.
because that makes them
Sure.
more real.
Yeah.
Maybe the cross step in between them, and granted, this is pie in the sky thinking, but let people customize that amiibo to order. Like
Yeah.
there are dozens of sort of hair and face and outfit options you can get.
Collect them all.
And you basically
sounds
order.
complicated,
That would
man.
be too
Yeah.
complicated,
Yeah.
but for a game like that where you are creating a custom avatar, that to me says a lot. Like we still haven't seen them try to how are they going to approach Mii Fighter for Smash Brothers? Like are they just going to go
They're
with the
not, I
stock
would say.
3 that you see?
Who knows?
on
It
the
might be
menu
like
screen?
Skylanders, where you can take them apart and add new elements.
That would
right?
also
Like,
be a cool
yeah,
amiibo.
Swap
Like just
Force
one that you
started that.
swap the hair.
But again, for
and stuff.
Splatoon, this is now weapons and character skins and stuff like that that are paywalled behind Amiibo. So this is another thing. Like if you're not into these things, you really have no choice because the cards aren't exactly happening anytime soon. We've seen the Animal Crossing ones. We haven't seen cards for Splatoon or Yoshi or Smash or anything else.
But it sounds like you object to that. I have no problem with
I don't,
paywalling
because-
things behind a figure because I'm getting something really cool.
I'm totally
Yeah.
with that. I'm speaking on behalf
But-
of the people that don't want to do that.
Yeah,
that
and-
don't want clutter.
And
you know?
let's take this in a different direction. These Splatoon amiibo, where else will they work? Are they only devoted to Splatoon?
Yeah.
Is Splatoon the only game that works with those amiibo?
Well, that's the thing. Like
Hyrule Warriors, it's Christmas with any amiibo. But
if
you
you
know what I'm trying to say?
if you drew this out like a tree, basically, a lot of these branches just stop, right? Like Toad was like, oh, he is Mario Party, but also the Captain Toad stuff, which I tried over the weekend. It's really cool.
And Hyrule Warriors.
And Hyrule.
You gotta
yeah,
add
of
Hyrule
course.
Warriors to every amiibo
Of course.
description.
But then there's a
Sorry.
couple that you get a lot of life out of, and there's a couple you just get none. You know.
I don't know, guys. I do think there is the amiibo game. I think that is coming.
I believe that too.
There will be the amiibo game. Maybe that is the big Christmas game, and the reveal in June is saying now every character you own becomes a playable character in this game.
Yeah.
It
As
could
long
be.
as it's not like Infinity or Skylanders, I just think they're too proud for that. I don't think Nintendo would
Like
would
that
straight
kind
up
of
ape
mashup?
that. Yeah, I don't think Nintendo would straight up ape that concept. Like it would have to stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a shooter, kind of like a gauntlet style game like that. But like, think about more of a Nintendo Land where, or something that's a little bit more like Mario Party where you just have, your choice of character that can enroll. And like, if you don't have that amiibo, you're not going to get that character. You just get the core character. I think that's fine.
So okay. So then on the topic of best and worst, one of the things that I really liked coming out of this was the updates for Mario Kart and Smash Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing Mewtwo. So nothing is better than a Smash Brothers character trailer. Like
Yeah.
nothing. Like they go all out to have these really funny situations. You get a lot of Sakurai humor in them. Lucas coming to the game in June is awesome.
Even though he said no more DLC after.
Well, he's been intentionally vague on the question because
Yeah.
I think at Nintendo there is still very much the awareness that people don't react well to DLC that's announced before a game comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and
it's
we're going to
that-
talk about something that's related to that.
That
eventually
coupled
today.
with the notion that Smash Brothers fans are insatiable.
Yeah.
And they want a 500 character game.
Don't underestimate, Sakurai's fatigue too after creating a game that has a crap ton of
50,
characters,
52
right?
characters
That
now.
game is loaded, and then somebody says, "That's great, you created all these characters. How about more?" And he'd
Yeah.
be like, "Oh,
Where's Knuckles?
yeah."
no one is asking that
Miles
question.
Tails Power.
Yeah, exactly.
Knuckles the edgy cheetah.
So And then you have the language, you have the kind of the translation thing where you're not always sure of the subtleties of what he actually said in the original interview. And like, it was a no-brainer that this game would get DLC on the character front.
Yeah.
And there's more to it. They're costumes, too,
which is fascinating to me because it's like we just talked about how they're polarizing a little bit with Amiibo DLC, but I think the Smash Brothers stuff and the Mario Kart stuff they're doing is excellent. It's some of the best DLC in the world.
The outfit stuff still doesn't sit too right with me.
That's definitely sticking one toe in the mobile pool.
You buy
outfits.
You're buying
for
outfits
money.
across for money, and you could get one in one version of the game or across both. And I'm glad those options exist, but I'm still like, why aren't you organizing these in packs?
Yeah,
I guess why am I buying them piecemeal?
I glossed over that because it's not. I have zero interest in that whatsoever. I don't play as Mii Fighter, so that's very specifically.
And that's the thing too. That's a great point. A lot of people don't play as Mii Fighter.
Yeah, it seems like a weird thing to put that much effort into something that's like one out of a 52 character choice you can make. I understand that people customize Mii Fighter, but why use him
when you can't play as Mii Fighter online unless you're in friend battles?
Yeah.
You are. I wonder if they have if they have access to the numbers, like how many people are like the rankings, like who's picking what character.
I would say
is Mii Fighter really low or really high?
I would say a lot of people are probably picking him if they're going to justify spending time creating DLC. Like I also think it's definitely them sticking one toe in the mobile pool to say we're going to start selling things for 75 cents or 2 for $1.15. Like that's new pricing for Nintendo. Those are weird numbers.
And that might just be. I mean, it's really hard, I think, to create characters for the costumes for the other characters, right? Like Mii Fighter is the same size, and so it's easy to just kind of roll out a pack like that.
Okay.
Now I don't have a problem with that one either because like when I see costumes for Mii Fighter, I don't have to own them all.
That's
that's
a
like
good point.
To me it's more like, oh, I'm a huge Link fan, therefore I go for the Link costume, right? And then it becomes an affordable.
But to the point you made earlier, it is surprising to see them putting that much effort towards something
100%.
that we don't 100% know people are using. It's a strange one.
It was unexpected, but that's what I love Nintendo for.
Yeah.
Speaking of unexpected,
because there was a lot of unexpected and cool stuff in that.
Speaking of unexpected, they want you to pick the next Smash Brothers fighter, and I guarantee I thought that website would be down in 5 minutes. I was like, you know how many people are going to fill that form out? Oh my! So
Knuckles,
who do you want?
Knuckles, everyone.
You want Knuckles?
No, absolutely
Who
not.
Do you
I don't
want?
care about Knuckles.
Drop it. Drop a name right here. Who do you want?
I said Tingle yesterday. Thinking about it more, I would like. Probably Waluigi, one of the Paper Mario characters. But somebody made a suggestion to me on Twitter that I love, that I'm sticking with 100% until the end of time, and that's Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight's a good one. Yeah,
love to see Shovel Knight in that game.
Shovel Knight would be rad.
He's absolutely perfect for.
He could be an 8-bit sprite, like really big.
Yeah, and I love the idea of bringing I'm already picturing the character trailer where you see some dirt fly off the screen, all of a sudden he shows up, puts the shovel down.
And it would put another fantastic soundtrack into Smash Brothers. Like Jake Kaufman's work, and I forgot the other composers' work on that game.
Yep.
Phenomenal, absolutely amazing music. What do you want?
I don't know. I mean, I think KK Slider would be awesome from the Animal Crossing universe because he's got the guitar, and you can imagine he'll have like really funny moves that are Animal Crossing related.
Was he gonna hit somebody with a guitar?
Yeah.
He works at a coffee
John
shop.
Belushi style.
Like the honky tonk man.
He could throw coffee in your face.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, and plus his voice is so awesome. Just hearing him going like.
I mean, his final smash could easily be the DJ table.
So I'd love that. Yeah. But was it 8-bit in WarioWare, the little kid, the video game?
Oh, 9 volt.
9 volt.
9 volt.
8-bit,
Yeah.
9 volt.
I always thought they'd be cool.
Like any of those kind of like side characters that you look at the character, you really like them just from the way they're designed. To pull them into this world would be really cool.
So are we gonna be able to see like public rankings in terms of which is getting voted the highest?
I don't think
here?
they're going to share any of that.
No.
Because my guess is it's going to be
Ridley.
It's going to be Ridley and Snake will be the ones that get really bumped to the top. Because
Yeah.
Snake's one of the ones that we had him and then he went away and now we're like bring him back.
Don't underestimate the power of Pokemon.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Like people are going to vote for Pokemon for sure because there's so many.
Snorlax
So
is going to have a
many
moveset where he just falls asleep.
Yeah,
the whole
or
time.
falls on the whole screen.
In terms of who I want, I almost want Wonderful 101. I don't know if Bayonetta would really fit in that world. I know
No, it's a
people
weird
want
one.
that. That's a strange one to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe some more Star Fox characters.
Snake had a gun, like he fought,
He
but it just
did.
there's something a bit the way it impacted it.
That
didn't
skin
feel the
tight
same way.
outfit was strange on him too, though.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know about this. Rhythm Heaven is one of my favorite games of all time. So if they could fit more Rhythm Heaven love into that game, like I know for a long time people were saying the Choir Kids were going to be playable, and that's not happening.
Yeah.
But at least I didn't think it would be.
There's also, I think, wealth in the, obviously obviously there's Tom Nook and characters like that
Oh,
from
yeah.
Animal Crossing, but there's wealth in the Zelda franchise too, beyond the characters we have. You
Yep.
know, if you're thinking about Midna and the wolf kind of setup, like
Yeah.
there's some cool concepts that could work in
Tingle.
this game too. Tingle would
Tingle.
be really scary.
Loompa. All right,
like-
and with that, let's go on to what else was cool out of this? Oh, one
Fire
thing not cool.
Emblem.
That the next Smash Brothers update is going to tweak character balancing, and once again, it is guaranteed the community is going to have to figure out what changed because Nintendo doesn't want to tell you.
Yeah.
Or maybe Sakurai doesn't want to tell you. Like, I don't know, but I can't help but feel for the Smash community sometimes because here's Nintendo supporting this franchise that they all obviously really care about. There are multiplayer games there and back on the internet, and whenever they make changes to balancing, they make it public because they want you to know that when you do Rosalina's down A attack, it doesn't do what it used to anymore,
Yeah.
like as much damage as it used to.
Yeah.
Like, you deserve to know that.
Yep.
That bothers you?
It does bother me.
See, I feel like half the fun is figuring out what they changed to, and then
Moving
you know,
on.
yeah.
I get it. Moving on.
Yeah.
Mario Maker, September release. Just in time for the 30th anniversary of Mario himself.
Good
Looks
timing.
Looks
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Very excited for it. I would have wanted it sooner, but I can wait.
So did you guys notice that on the footage that it was shown when there was the voiceover portion to it, the sharing section had music from one of the 64 DD games that you and I played. You know that?
Oh, yeah,
That thing. What was that? What was that from? That was Art Studio?
Talent Studio. Yeah.
So it had the
that was-
music from the menu of Talent Studio playing in the
Studio.
background. That completely blew my mind. I was like, holy
Wow,
cow, that's
yeah.
in the game. Also, in the trailer for that game that I don't know if people picked up on, so you know how you switch between 4 different art styles?
Yep.
So what happens when you switch from the Wiggler? The Wiggler was a character introduced later in Mario. When you switch to Super Mario Brothers art style, there is an 8-bit sprite version of the Wiggler, and they do that with the
Yeah.
Ghost, the Boo Ghost
That's awesome.
from Mario
I didn't even
3.
notice that. I
yeah,
guess I missed
watched
that.
the trailer again and was just panning through it in slow mo, and I was like, "That's right." So like, Chain Chomps are gonna have like 8-bit sprites. They're rewriting history
That's
with Mario
really
Maker.
cool. I didn't even think about
That's really
that.
cool.
Yeah, all
And
of
then,
that stuff is still
You
in
know,
there.
in the trailer, you could also see what happens when they blow up some of the characters
Yeah.
to bigger sizes, and like I just love the visuals of creation in that game, like how it looks
Yeah.
when you're putting stuff together, like how you shake things,
Yeah.
and
Actually, I
yeah,
should
really
correct
excited
myself.
about this.
Yeah, I just realized I said 8-bit Chain Chomp sprite, and it was already 8-bit in Mario 3. Like, it's just a more primitive version that fits
right.
the original Mario Brothers.
Awesome.
Just to
Yeah.
clarify for folks. All right.
Yeah, that was really cool. Mario Maker, I mean, coming later in the year though means that probably the Christmas reveal is not a Mario game.
Yeah.
Like that
Unless
would be
they're doubling
really
up on it
weird
for
to
the
say.
30th.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Iwata did say, and this is not a hint at anything, but it's like we're going to be looking for we're going to be celebrating Mario's 30th in other ways. Does that mean another game? It could mean another game. I don't think it means another game, but we don't know that. I just wanted to put that out there because that's the thing. All right, trying to find other ones really fast because we have to go. So you're actually, sorry listeners, you're not going to get the full treatment on this Nintendo Direct on Nintendo Voice Chat this week, but we will sweep around. Talk about. Okay, let's talk about one that I felt was lame. I was very happy to see Shin Megami cross Fire Emblem. I was not very happy to be greeted with a lot of out of context footage and a very, very lousy J-pop track.
Okay, so you're reacting more to the quality of the presentation rather than what the actual game is, because
think
I
the
think
game
the
looks
big,
good.
but the big controversy is what the game is. Like when
Well,
somebody,
no, don't confuse them. Fire Emblem 3DS is what you're about to talk about with the
No.
controversy.
No,
I'm talking
no,
about
no.
the Shin Megami.
No, Shin Megami Cross Fire Emblem has its own controversy.
What is that controversy?
Well, when they announced the game, what did we think it was going to be? We
we
thought it was going to be Fire Emblem with Shin Megami Tensei
I don't think it was ever
characters.
clear. You thought
No,
that.
but
I didn't think that.
Okay, so what they rolled out though is kind of like, and granted, this is 2 years ago, right? Really early. They probably hadn't even picked like who was going to make this game.
Yep.
Like I thought, and many thought it was going to be Fire Emblem with a character crossover. What it is also not Shin Megami Tensei. It is a completely different game. It looks completely wacko. Right? it has like, you see Tiki from Fire Emblem appear, but it's not like I was expecting, hey, there are all these Fire Emblem characters. No man, this is crazy. This is
Yeah,
crazy
it's-
town
it's
this
on
game.
some-
So
it's crazy
but
town.
it is, I mean, it is a full-fledged RPG with an overworld, and you got kind of like little Persona elements in there, you know, like silhouetted characters. You've got weird arena battles with people on like freaking like what are they, like robot bicycle horses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Like,
had no
it's
idea what was going on.
very, I mean, it's very anime. People's clothes randomly pop off like you know, like.
Sorry, I just had a strange visual from this game in my
Well,
head.
it happens in anime, right? But like that is a different game that people were expecting. I guarantee you that 100% of people who are following those two franchises were expecting.
I'm not following either of those franchises, and that was an incredibly confusing 5 minutes for me.
Yeah,
like
but-
just to tuck that in there.
But hey, I'm intrigued because it could mean a completely new game concept and not just a lazy kind of crossover title that pulls in different characters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so then let's talk about more Fire Emblem stuff. So
Yeah.
we got to. Let's make this the last story we talk about. And again, apologies, it's just scheduling. We have a longer break this weekend, so we didn't really have enough time to pull out the whole show for you. However, Fire Emblem 3DS, which in the West is now a 2016 game, and they went into a lot of specifics on the campaign and how it is basically the Theon Greyjoy of video games. If you watch Game of Thrones, you know it's not.
That's
It's
true.
a slight spoiler. It's not really. Theon was raised by a different family, but his bloodline is completely separate, and he gets embroiled in a conflict between those two. That's what this game is.
You follow your bloodline or your inherited kind of allegiance, right?
Yeah, or the people who raise you. That's
Yeah.
absolutely right. So in the West, the presentation for this game went smooth. We all were like, hey, this looks rad. Like, one campaign will be a little easier and one will be more difficult. And they sort of framed it as like, you don't know which way it's going to go, but you get sort of a different experience depending on which campaign you choose.
And you get a choice, right? Like, do you align yourself with the Hoshido? They're the Light Kingdom, right? The path is a little easier. Or do you go with the Noir? Play on Noir, like French. It's a dark kingdom. And like the choice is yours, and like immediately you think, well, that's cool. I can replay the entire game again and choose the other path.
Meanwhile, in Japan, the details came out that they are, at least this is only for Japan. Let's put this up front, right? So they have not talked about how they're delivering this game in the West at all. But in Japan, they are basically going to have the Pokemon effect. It's going to be 2 retail boxes you're going to choose from, either Light Kingdom or Dark Kingdom. And then you can download through DLC. You pay for the other campaign if that's what you want to go through. So both games will remain the same until Chapter 6.
Yeah.
And then after Chapter 6, if you bought it at retail, the choice that you made at retail is locked in. You're going for the light side or the dark side. If you've downloaded it, I'm not 100% sure
if you
how they get
download
around
it, you can choose. Like, you get to Chapter 6. Until Chapter 6, both versions of the game are the same.
Yeah.
So you get to, with the digital version, you get to Chapter 6, and then you make a decision. You say, you know what, I favor the cause of the Dark Kingdom. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
So at that point, though, your choice becomes locked in, and that's the version you own. And so if you then want to replay it later with the Light Kingdom path, you have to download the DLC for another $20. So it is basically, they announced day one DLC in Japan. They're saying you buy a game for like $50, whatever, 4,800 yen, and then if you want the other path, that's DLC for another $20.
Yeah, and it's another $20.
But there's a third one.
There's a third path.
There's a third path,
Now-
which will cost you another $20 if you want it.
So but before we get crazy, like, again, I don't know if they're going to have as much confidence to do the same pricing in the West. I will remind people, Fire Emblem Awakening had paid DLC. They were organized in packs. It was roughly, I want to remember it as $3 or so, or $1.50. I'm not entirely sure. Granted, obviously the amount on the price matters tremendously when making purchase decisions.
Sure.
But that must have been really successful if they decided to go about this for the next game.
For sure, and people in Japan are also paying more for special editions for franchises like Fire Emblem, right? Like, there is a package that's a special edition for about $100, right, in Japan, that has all 3 paths, and it has a exclusive trading card. There's a Fire Emblem trading card game called Cypher in Japan coming out at the same time. Like, you get an exclusive card you can't get anywhere else. So it's a cool special edition, but it's $100, right? And so that, for this franchise, that wouldn't fly in the U.S. So I actually thought it was cool that we got the announcement that made it sound like you do get 2 games in one. For, hopefully, it's going to be for that same price. Now, of course, there will be reactions saying, hey, you're nickel and diming us, you're taking a game and you're splitting it, and you're announcing DLC day one. Like, if they had rolled it out as, here's your game, you're following the path of the Hoshido, and then 2 months later after the game is out said, hey, now we're going to give you the Noir path for $20, that would have been a very different reaction, I think.
Right.
And just like Fire Emblem, we're going to give you the rest of the episode of MVC
What?
next week. Sorry, folks, but we really got to go. Thank you very much for listening to Nintendo Voice Chat. We are a weekly show on IGN, but we are not the only podcast on IGN. We have great shows. We have videos. We have articles and features. You should come check us out, IGN.com. Also, if you are a fan of MVC or you just want to leave us feedback, you can email us at mvc@ign.com. Give us feedback on the show, or head on over to iTunes. Leave us a review. Always helps to know what people are thinking and what you're saying about the show. Lastly, you can follow us on Twitter. You can find Agent Bizzle, known as Brian Altano.
That's right. That's where I am.
How am I messing up this?
You're doing good.
I'm
You're doing great.
Fine. Yeah. All right.
You're
One more
getting through
time.
all of it, baby.
Let's do it over. You can find Brian Altano at
Agent Bizzle.
You can find Per Schneider at
Per IGN, I'm happy to talk with you on Twitter about some of the other announcements ahead of the next NVC, because there was so much good stuff in there and so much crazy stuff in here, too.
And unfortunately, we were pressed for time. And lastly, I am the jerk who had to split the show up, Jose_Otero. Thank you very much for listening, and you can find us next week, not as paid DLC.
That's right.